That is where AI comes in. Now, the reason why I'm stressing so much on these other factors, right, excluding AI, is because these are your foundation and building blocks. Without understanding what exactly is going on in your point A, which is here, you will not be able to get point B, right? So before we start on with the whole AI, factor and how we're going to use AI to ideate or even to create an MVP, I want to first understand what are your most common challenges, right, that you guys have faced so far when it comes to ideating, because I see there's a reasonable chunk of people who are founders here, who are enthusiasts, who are business owners, business analysts. So it can be something that you have faced before, right? I mean, if you're a founder, maybe perhaps you have been through the struggles and then you have overcome them, right? So maybe you can share, like through the polls, as to whether you have overcome, like how you've overcome, what is the biggest challenges you found, which will give us a better understanding on how we can help the teams moving forward. So let me just launch a quick poll again for you guys. We'll keep this poll maybe for about 10 minutes, so you guys can just take your time, right? Just think about it. And while we're at it, while you guys are filling in this poll, I just want to, share with you guys, if you have a notebook or maybe on an iPad perhaps, just feel free to just grab a hold of it and just write down, right? Just jot it down for yourselves. So for example, we're talking about where are you on your idea journey. Obviously, the poll here has limited options, just to try and narrow it down to make it easier for everybody to digest. But you yourself will have a bit more specific challenge, right? Perhaps you're talking about which part of the idea to MVP journey do you find most difficult, right? In that sort of an instance, maybe perhaps you have identified, identifying a real problem might be a challenge for you, but you can maybe make it a bit more specific for yourself. We can just write it down. So moving through the session today, you might be able to narrow down that challenge better and maybe even tackle it. Hopefully, the aim is for you to be able to take away something and to move from the current position you are to today's session, the end of session, to a better position. That's our aim for today, right? So just feel free to just join the journey and just write down. No worries. So we still have a couple of minutes. So just feel free to grab a pen, a paper, and just write down. And so for those of you who are already using ChatGPT, no problem. For those of you who prefer another tool for your AI assistant, for today's demo, we will be using ChatGPT for our prompt generations and our ideations. And for the MVP, we will be using bolt.new. So I'm just letting you guys know up ahead. So in case you guys want to sign up in advance before we start the demo session, feel free to do so. If not, I think we'll have a couple of minutes during the demo session as well, where you guys can sign up and log in and stuff as well. So no worries, just giving you guys a heads up. Okay, just exploring, building my MVP. Idea, awesome. Okay, problem. Okay, okay. mm, Okay. Okay. Okay, let me just have a real quick review on the chat to see if we're facing any issues. Okay, 1 second. Just give me a second here. Okay, let me just quickly share the links for both the tools that we're going to be using first, just in case. Um, and I'll just go through the chat for real quick. Okay, so we have about 5 more minutes, so feel free to just just grab your pen and paper, or if you're still filling up the poll, I will just quickly go through the chat for a bit, so just see if there's any challenges that you guys are facing right now. Okay, okay. Okay, so if you're already using a different AI app builder, you don't necessarily need to register on Bolt. So it's more for those who just want to start on something from fresh. Feel free to use so. But for the purpose of the demo today, we'll be using Bolt. So feel free to build on your existing product if you already have, or if you're already using so. No worries at all. It's not mandatory. It's just for us to have a, to be on sync if you guys want to follow exactly what I'm trying to demo today, right? Okay. Um, why I picked Chat? Okay, so ChatGPT and Bolt. The reason I picked these two tools is because it's quite simple to use, and it's most commonly used as well. For example, ChatGPT, at least everybody would have heard of it. And for Bolt, it's a free tool. I mean, okay, it's a freemium tool, but the basic stuff that you need to just get the ball rolling is free, and it's quite effective. So that's why I chose Bolt as well for now. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. Mm, okay. Okay. So I see some people mentioning that they don't have a clear idea on what they would like to build. No worries. So today, we will try to get Chat GPT to get us to I can cook up for us, right? Too much courses, to build. Okay. 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 Generic level, in a sense of we're just going to try get a simple product, right? Because it's just a 1.5 hour session and it's an online session. So there's only so much we can execute. But for those of you who are interested in a more specific deep dive into your own niche interests or needs, feel free to reach out to me so we can take the discussion offline, or maybe I can even, we can have a consulting session or something. But for today's session, we're going to keep it quite simple. And maybe from there, perhaps you can just build from there as well. So even the prompts that I'm going to use on ChatGPT or Bolt, feel free to edit them, or make them a bit more customized to your specific interest, right? It doesn't need to be the exact word to word, but if you want the exact output, I mean, I highly doubt and the I think we can. I'll wait for about like about quickly just let us know in the poll. Thank you. Poll. three, two, the All right. So we have a decent number. Actually, we have a lot of people still exploring ideas, which is great. So hopefully you guys will get the most out of today's session as well. We have people who have an idea as well, and those who are already building the MVP. Okay, so for those who are already building the MVP, there's an interesting way you can use bolts, or actually any app builder, matter of fact. But case as well, build on that as well. For which idea to rating, priority, AI. Okay, real press that real can't real problem ocean, right? Ask them like, let's say no, because they have ample amount of water. But if you ask someone stranded in the middle of, like a farm, right? There's no water, but there's a lot of food. Then you ask them, "Oh, is your hungry?" It's a no, right? So it's not just about what is a real problem. It's also about the right problem and the right people that you're asking. So it's really important for you to navigate who your exact customers are. That in its own will also help you solve your identifying a real problem. Because I also noticed validating with real users is also a challenge, right? So these are actually intertwined challenges that you'll face because you identifying a real problem lies in you identifying your real users, right? So it's important for you to always narrow down who your target customers are, what your target market is. Of course, when you say that, oh, my product should appeal to everybody on the planet, I mean, of course, we would love that, right? Who doesn't want their product to be the most popular, the most loved, the most bought, the most interacted with, right? But it's important to make sure that you have identified the customer segment or the market that is guaranteed to buy into your idea or your product, right? So there should be a minimum guarantee. You should be aware of it. That's the biggest and most important thing. Because if you don't know who your target customers are, you might be marketing to the wrong people and in fact even validating with the wrong users, which in turn will make your problem wrong, right? So that in its own will make you start to self-doubt on whether your real problem is not a problem. Maybe you're asking the wrong people, right? Maybe the problem you've identified is a real problem, but it's not to the people who are actually facing it. So you should really think about who you're asking the questions as well. Okay, so that's really good to know that where we are. So now we've identified, right? So we now know that one of the biggest challenges that we are facing is not knowing what the real problem is. Real problem, right? So what really is a real problem? Now, once we have our idea, right? So let's just say we have a solution or we have an idea, whatever we want to solve, right? We have the problem in our mind. So now X is the problem. How do we solve it? That becomes your secondary problem, which is how to solve. Another thing that I've noticed in most startup pitching sessions as well is some people like to reverse engineer, right? So they go from how to solve, so the solution first, and then they try to fit it to a problem. Then they will force fit to a real problem that somebody's having in the world, and then they will say, yeah, this is a real problem. But is that the best way to, start your idea or your product journey? There's no real answer for that. Because yes, it might be. If it works, it works. It really might be. There's nothing wrong with you first getting your solution and then figuring out what the problem is. There's really nothing wrong with it. But it's just going to be an uphill battle, perhaps, if you don't really know what the actual problem is. Is not to say that it's not possible. So there are different approaches and ways that you can also solve challenges or come up with ideas. So today we'll be looking in for more of a niche perspective. So we're going to take a point of interest, like I mentioned before, right? So we're going to go down the line of what your niche is, what your real interests are, and then from there we'll derive the problem, and then we will come to a solution. Okay, so it's like I mentioned previously, it's a very simple session today. The purpose we are focusing on today is not really to really uh, need like really validate your problem, like your customer problem, or to really identify like this is the biggest challenge, how do we tackle this. This is more for us on a higher level, just to understand, okay, how do we do basic ideation, right? So once you do an ideation, you have a basic level of validation, then you create an MVP, then you go ahead. We are more in an agile format. So we are going to try to create something that we can take to the users and then validate and then reintegrate that new solution into the existing solution. So that's what we're more focused on. Because though you might be able to nail down the problem to the T, like completely perfect, there's always this challenge of uh, wrong timing. So today's problem might not be tomorrow's problem. The best example is COVID-19, right? A universal challenge that every single person can understand and relate to, right? During the COVID-19 pandemic, we were all faced with the problem of wearing masks. So, of course, your problem is going to be to supply masks and make sure that the demand is met. But the challenge here is, if let's say that you decide to design masks and you decide to manufacture masks in 2021, 2022, and maybe you're targeting to not ship the masks out until you hit your target production count. And then you decide to ship them out in 2023, 2024, even 2025. Is it a problem today? Maybe the answer is a no. Depends again, depends who you ask. Some countries, again, there are some resurgence in cases. Some people are more wary. They still want to wear masks to be safe. Sure, absolutely. But your market has shrunk, right? So your calculations based on your target market on when you've come up with your problem statement is perhaps not on the same scale as it is when you're exiting into the market, right? So you need to make sure that you are already a foot into the market before your best product is out there. You need to understand someone, so you need to understand the customers to be able to really give them the solution, but they also need to be aware that okay, somebody is working on my solution, my problem that I'm facing, right? So to identify and really nail down that problem by getting into the market fast, what's the best way to do it? building your MVP, minimal viable product. The product or your concept that can be interacted with, or at the bare minimum, be understood by the users as to what they really want. And then what you will be doing is getting feedback. This again ties back into your validating with users, right? There's no better way than literally putting a prototype in your users or customers' hand and tell them to explain how they feel when they're interacting with it, and if this is really hitting their pain points, right? So now today we have AI to do both, which is to identify your idea, your problem statement, your solution, and to create your minimal viable product. So before we go into actually using the tools and getting, really into like how we're going to be using the tools, I have one last poll. I promise. This is the last poll for before we end the session today, right? So we'll be trying to get a frank understanding on how you guys have been using AI so far, right? So that we can navigate the space together better, and maybe even for future sessions where I can enable you guys with more knowledge and more interfaces to really delve into the AI space better, right? So just a quick poll again, maybe take another 5 to 10 minutes so that you guys can let us know your interactions with AI. Okay, so just open up the poll again. A reminder for those of you who have not, got a notepad or a pen. Those of you who just joined us recently as well. Feel free to, just carry on this journey with us and note down your own pain points that you've identified. You don't have to follow today's session to the T. It's just a guideline for you guys per se, and feel free to just join in and download the tools. Sorry, not download. Sign up and log into the tools so that it'll be a bit faster for you guys to follow up in the demo later. Let me just try to get the links again to the tools in case you guys have not logged in already. And I will also go through the chat real quick for any challenges that you guys have uh, are highlighting here. Okay. Okay, let me just go from the top. Okay, yeah, we'll okay. Okay, actually, I've noticed quite a few questions and reactions as well for asking on how to scale a product MVP from the tools like Bolt or Lovable. Okay, that actually is a whole session on its own, and we are planning to have a session specifically for that, but it's great to see that there is, interest in a session like that as well. So towards the end of the session, we are going to open up, a free, a short answer for you guys to share with us what kind of sessions you guys would like to see moving forward, right? So feel free to just share with us what kind of specific sessions or challenges that you guys are facing you would like us to carry on in this community, and we will try to, if possible, even perhaps get in subject matter experts or people already working in the industry for that specific challenge to perhaps even come in and give you guys a demo perhaps, or even answer some of your burning questions as well. So do stick around for that towards the end of the session as well. Okay, questions. Okay. Okay. Mhm. Mm. Okay. Okay. Oh wow, we have quite a few people who have utilized Bolt as well before. It's awesome. Okay. Okay. I'll leave the poll up for another 2 minutes or so. In the meantime, if you guys have any specific questions or something, feel free to just drop it on the chat. I am still going through it right now. How to build and repeat latest ads. Yeah, so we'll be going through the demo in a bit soon. So just feel free to stick around for that. Okay. 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 Another 1 minute before I will close the poll. So any of you guys who still want to